Thank you to all 5 of my subscribers for joining us on this, our very first Express Yourself podcast, podcast broadcast.
Broadcasting.
Two broadcasting about stuff. Okay, my name is Amber Express. I'm joined here today with one of my all-time good friends and Salt Lake City's favorite female comic or comedian, right? Is that what they say? Comedian. And I'm going to pause here because, like, right here is where there's going to be, like, trumpets blaring and whatnot. It's called a flourish.
Love it.
Her name is Melissa Merlot. Melissa.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Amber. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for showing, like, thanks for, like, answering the call. Not once, but now, I don't know, several times.
That's what I'm here for.
So if you take 2 minutes to Google, yeah, exactly. If you take 2 minutes to Google her, Melissa has been awarded a high level of distinction as Salt Lake City's best of. Stand-up comedy. So she was up against. Yeah, you know what's cool though about that distinction is that there's a lot of it's predominantly male based, right?
It is. There's another girl, Natasha Maurer, who's hilarious.
She's amazing.
There are still funny females besides myself.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying, like, between you and between you and Natasha, though, just so that I can, like, reiterate this, it is, like, very heavy. With
it's definitely,
lots of males.
Men-dominated field, stand-up comedy. I mean, recently we're seeing more, which is great. Like, when I started, I was pretty much the only girl doing any of the open mics and stuff, so it's great to see so many girls doing it now. I love it.
That's awesome, yeah. And so, kudos to you, Melissa, for being the first to, like, jump into that. And Melissa, who has become one of my favorite friends, has always entertained my repeated requests to work with me. And when I say repeated,
working with you, Amber.
when I say repeated, though, I'm talking about, like, over the years. We've known each other since when? 2012, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Right before that incident. Right. Okay. So
that is a long time. But right. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah. So with that being said, allow me to introduce you again. Well, here's the thing. Even with all of her experience, like Melissa, I've always had a lot of respect for. She's been featured in Salt Lake Weekly, along with having a recurring guest speaking spot on FanX Salt Lake City's comic convention. So, and that's due to the fact that she.
So fun.
Yeah. That's due to the fact that Melissa is she holds several of her own podcasts, which are really very popular. Unlike, unfortunately, the few that I'm going to be bringing to you. So, but this is our first one, so who knows?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I'm currently on the Area 52 podcast, which you guys should check out. We talk about conspiracy theories and paranormal activity and true crime too, so it's really interesting and we're all really funny, so it's a good podcast.
Awesome. And that's the Area 51?
Area 52.
Sorry. Okay.
Podcast is 52.
Area 50.
Government facilities, Area 51.
I'll get it right. Melissa actually has been someone who's become one of my favorite friends, and even with all of her experience and accolades, I found Melissa to be empathetic to larger issues that plague our society. Melissa, like, as a human being, she does get it.
I try.
She tries to be a human being.
I try to be human.
We definitely all need to be more human, right? I think this is why so many people love you, though. It's because you're real. So with that being said, yeah, allow me to introduce to you again my friend, and if I can talk her into being a co-host, too, as long as we get more than 5 followers, right? More than 5 subscribers. I don't even know if we have 5. I don't even know if we have 5, so anyways. Oh well. Anyways, so if I can talk her into it to being a co-host, great. But if not, if this, she's now our recurring guest, Melissa Merlot. So
I am.
let's talk about this podcast broadcasted by two broads or something like that. What did I say? Broadcasting. Two broads casting. Okay. So I'm not a comedian. So like, and this is the third time that we've done this. So
That's why I was like, I am a reoccurring guest.
this is a reoccurring nightmare that this keeps happening.
Oh, no, it's not a nightmare. We can't break the fourth wall. This is the only version of this we've ever done.
I'm sorry, you're right. I break rules. I'm a rule breaker.
Oh my goodness.
I'm a rule breaker.
Yeah, that's okay. That's kind of what this broadcast is about, right?
Rule breaking, yeah. Because like, here's the thing. That's part of what I reached out to Melissa about was what was happening in our world today, and most recently, victim shaming, blaming, and the 7 degrees to McKenzie Lueck, because we do have. There is an interesting story that I can tell about this whole situation with McKenzie. But backing up to before speaking about McKenzie, just between August and October of last year, we found it was between the end of August of last year, right?
October was
when she died.
October was when it happened. I don't know when they.
Okay, so it was actually at the and we're speaking of another student, University of Utah student, Lauren McCluskey, who was she was an elite athlete, very well loved, and also a very good person. You know, like from the reports, she just didn't look at she looked at the potential of who people could be. That's what
in them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I got from what I read about her. Granted, I didn't know who she was personally, but that's what I got from what I read about her. And the unfortunate part was that she met a man at a bar near the university, and started a relationship with him. It was short-lived because unfortunately Lauren figured out within a couple of weeks of meeting him that he wasn't who he said he was, which really is
lying about everything.
What was that?
He was lying about everything.
Exactly. Yes. He lied about his age.
He was like over 10 years
15.
older than her, like 16 years older than her.
Yeah, exactly. 16. He was 37, she was 21, which, you know, I mean, for some young women, that's not that
big of a deal as long as you don't lie about it.
Right,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? Like, if you're gonna go with an age difference like that, you need to be upfront about it.
Maybe within a couple of years.
At least in a couple of years.
Well, I can walk around and tell everybody I'm like in my mid-30s.
There you go.
If somebody tells me that
he was very deceptive to her. I think he probably built a persona of a person that maybe he wanted to be when he met her. And since she saw the good in people, she saw him as improving his life and working towards better things. So I think in the beginning, she probably did believe. I mean, you would want to believe that he was a good person. So I think she probably believed it in the beginning, and then his life probably started to fall apart pretty quickly too, because they were only dating for like a month, and then she broke it off with him, and then he got upset.
I don't even think it was that long. I think it might have been less than that.
Oh my God, so scary.
Exactly. So it was. So when I went back to read on it, and you can check me on this, but I think they may have met in July, or maybe the latter part of July, and she went through it with him in August, and then one of her friends noticed how manipulative and controlling and mean he could get, and mentioned it to her, and so she she broke it off because then she started looking up at his information, and everything that he told her didn't match what she found. So, yeah, I know, right? I don't know, Insta-check or whatever it is that you can do, a background check on anybody.
You can find out a lot about people just by Googling their names and stuff.
Right. Like, because that's all I did to Google, to find out about Melissa, I'm just saying.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, just go ahead and Google her.
Google me anytime.
Right.
Her story really bothered me because it was such a short-lived relationship. They weren't seeing each other very long, and then she found out he was a liar and just ended it. And normally you would think, okay, that just happens. People just go out for a few weeks, and then they don't hit it off, or something goes wrong, and they break up. No big deal. But in this case, it was a big deal. And obviously there was something wrong with him where he just couldn't let go. And so she reached out for help even from campus cops. I think she even went to the real police. So, I mean, there was a paper trail that this guy was a danger to her. And the real tragedy of the story is he ended up finding her on the University of Utah campus, and that's where he ultimately got her. And it just sucks because that's school, It feels like a place everyone should be safe.
Exactly. It's really weird to feel like not being able to be on in such a close-knit community like a university that you couldn't be safe. And I know that's weird for me to say, but I really believed in the best of people and in the best of the university because I've lived here for so long, for most of my life. So, yeah. Melvin S. Rowland is his name. Sick. Okay, that's the only time that I'll say his name because that really bothers me.
He's a piece of garbage.
Yeah. So the most recent article that came out from the Salt Lake Tribune, and big props to the Tribune for putting it out there. University of Utah officer who mishandled Lauren McCluskey's concerns has now been disciplined for mistakes on another domestic violence case just recently. So it gets worse.
That's not good.
Yeah, Officer Miguel Darris mishandled reports from student athlete Lauren McCluskey weeks before she was killed on campus. Instead of being fired, he and the entire University of Utah Police Department went through a training to better recognize the warning signs of domestic violence he and others had missed. So here's the here's the thing. Okay, I get it. That was the first time that they decided they weren't going to go back because they didn't. The university tried to handle it in a better way by retraining them. But here's the issue with Officer Darris. The primary issue of what he did not do is that this guy whose name I shall not speak. Since I've already said it once, I'm not going to say it again.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah. So this guy who ended up killing Lauren, he was actually on parole. I don't know whether or not Lauren had already found that. I do know that Lauren had found out that he had lied about several things, including his age, which made her uncomfortable. And then that's when she questioned him, and then broke it off. So that's all I know about what Lauren did. Which, okay, we're gonna do a high five to Lauren from wherever she's at, right? Like, good for her for realizing what she had done. The problem was that the unfortunate part was that she was dismissed. Her concerns were dismissed, and her safety was dismissed. And this is where we needed to get on the horn and say, that's not, this can't happen. We need to stand behind the McCluskey family and say, yes, they deserve more than what they received from the university.
Yeah, I mean, and to have those kind of reports taken seriously.
Exactly.
If the cop would have found out that he was on parole, he could have contacted the parole officer. There could have been more done to try and prevent this guy from getting to her.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And so here's the thing that in this article it does stipulate that she had called Darris, the Officer Darris, the on-campus officer, hours before she was killed. She told him she had received an email from someone impersonating a police deputy chief, but she did believe that it was her who ended up being her killer. The officer did not relay her complaints to anyone else in the department.
Wow.
Officers never learned that Roland was on parole. This is the critical issue. Like, okay, I said his name again, but oh well.
Wow, that's crazy.
This is the critical a component of what could have kept this girl safe.
And to have her call just hours before,
right?
It's like, you know,
right.
You should have been more on guard if they would have been more on top of it. Oh,
right.
That's terrible.
Here's the Salt Lake Tribune again. Yeah, exactly. In a different follow-up article, that they said that it was a possible missed opportunity to confront Roland before McCluskey's Monday slaying. Was that there was a date? The date of that conversation was October 16th. It reveals a gap in communication from the University of Utah to the parole agents because this man was on parole. Had Darris sent out the message to the parole agents, Darris would have been able to he would have been able to potentially get the parole officers, and for anybody who doesn't know, because I didn't know, I don't really follow what happens after somebody gets off of parole or any of that, right? So the potential is that this man would have been in direct violation of his parole, because he was not supposed to do any of this type of ridiculousness, right? Because he actually, more than likely, I didn't look back into his background, because he's already gone and there's no point. But more than likely, he probably went to prison for something similar because of his similar behavior, right? And so this is.
Well, he had a gun too, though. Isn't that something you can't have on parole?
Exactly. Yeah. Multiple parole violations. It's just.
I mean, they could have just got him on that and then hauled him off.
Exactly, multiple parole violations, and even before he went and took the car back, did we even talk about the car? She loaned him his car. Yeah, no, we haven't talked about the car. She loaned him his car, or not his car, her car, because.
Her car. Ladies, never do this.
Listen, can I
borrow your car?
Can I just say?
A lot of people think that's okay. Just don't.
If they have a mixtape, okay. if they have dreams of selling their mixtape on whatever platform they feel like selling their mixtape on, and they need to borrow your car.
Their Spotify DJ is not going any farther than that. Just don't let them borrow any cars.
If you've got it together and you're putting your life is together and you're moving places and you're independent, people unfortunately, these less than stellar people. These less than stellar men usually come up and they suss that out and they figure it out and they're like, oh yeah, let me get a handle of that.
Yeah. And they're not scary too, because even with him borrowing your car, they didn't know each other that long. I don't think I would let somebody I just known for 2 weeks borrow my car, whether I was dating them or not. That's kind of, not
right.
really long enough for something like that.
Right. I don't want to go down the road. You know what? And I get that, but I don't want to go down the road that she allowed him to do all of that, because I feel like that might be shaming or blaming her. Because
I'm not shaming her.
She is the victim. Let me just go ahead and clarify that.
Definitely a victim. I think that just shows her level of believing
compassion.
in the good in him.
Compassion.
Oh yeah, no problem. You can borrow my car.
Yeah.
on her, I think that was a nice gesture.
It was just her way of I feel like that maybe she was just a very compassionate individual as a woman.
I'm gonna be at work or whatever, or I'll be at school, go ahead and use my car. Like, I don't think it's really a bad thing. I'm just saying from my own personal opinion, I wouldn't do it, but
right.
I think to her character, I think that shows that she's a caring person, and she was just doing it to help them out.
Exactly. And so from my point of view, from my vantage point, like, I put guns up. Like, have you not? I don't know if you haven't noticed.
I don't blame you.
I don't
blame you.
Like, not guns. Maybe not guns. Maybe I was just referring to guns as in my shoulders are like the size of guns, because I'm pretty. I'm not. Okay, so, anyways, I'm just stronger. So that's all it is. That's all I meant. And and I would shield myself from somebody like that, just because I've already been, I've been around people who have done that to other people, and I'm talking about dudes who have done that to other women, and these dudes are not the best dudes. There's that. Let's just leave it at that. And all these dudes had mixtapes. Let's leave it at that.
Something to watch out for.
All these people. Anyways, so the unfortunate part was that the McCluskeys lose their daughter. Her friends lose. One of the university loses this incredible athlete, and not just athlete, but this incredible young woman who could have, made lots of changes in lots of people's lives. And it's because we dismissed her concerns, and as a community, her concerns, her safety, the awareness of her safety was dismissed, and that's the critical component to where I'm coming with that. And so, with that said, it hasn't even been 6 months, right? It's been about 6 months.
Well, it was October of last year, so a little over 6.
Okay, 7 or 8 months. But less than a year, that's pretty scary.
That's quite scary.
And in less than a year, we see it again. I saw it again online. I just saw that there was another missing University of Utah student. And
oh my God.
I've gotten to the point where I've been so hurt over the fact that just watching the McCluskey case made me so nauseous. I prayed for her. I am a very, I do believe, I do believe in prayer. I do believe in, a higher being and all that. I prayed for her, and I prayed for her family, and I hoped, even though that I have no connection or ties to her or her family, I'm sure that there's plenty of people who did the same, who just were horrified after that.
It's just terrifying, and
yeah.
And just everything they released about it was so sad too, because she had just flown back from the airport.
This most recent case. We're talking about this most recent case. This most recent case on the McKenzie Lueck case. It's only been 3 weeks now, right?
Yeah, because she disappeared in mid-June.
It's been not even a month.
Yeah, it's just horrible to hear about it.
Let's talk about the good news. The good news is that the Salt Lake Police Department, I've got to give big props out to them
for. They did a great job.
They did a wonderful job in getting it quickly, because what was it, within a span of 10 days? We got all the not we, but more than likely within the span of approximately 10 days. They got as much information as they needed. And I think the thing that horrified me the most about looking into this, because I didn't want to, I saw that there was a missing, when it first came out, I saw that there was another missing, there was a missing girl, a student from the University of Utah, and I just thought to myself, another one?
Yeah.
It almost made me nauseous, to the point where I just didn't really want to get into looking at it. I just prayed for her safety. I couldn't, because we're seeing more and more of these.
Oh, as we all did, because you just hear that, a missing student, missing girl, or anything like that. You start praying because you're just so used to it being the worst case scenario, you know?
Right, exactly, and hoping that it would be like something like like potentially that that we would end up finding, like they would find her, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really look into it until, I don't know, maybe 1 week before they even the press conference that they had just last Friday. Um, so when I did look into it, um, I just look. I don't know. I can't remember what it was that finally brought me to looking at it. But I took a look at her profile because it really just bothered me that she was still missing, and um, and I wasn't, you know, not to get into like who gets prime time and who doesn't, on missing persons cases. However, because everybody should, whether or not somebody goes missing and they don't get that, that's another topic for another time. But for her, I just felt like this can't be another one of those McCluskey cases. I hope it does. I hope it isn't. And then when I looked into it, I went to her page before it was actually turned private, and that's when I saw that's where I saw the really ridiculous um, victim shaming and the blaming, and I didn't know anything about her. I knew nothing.
Well, and neither did the people who were doing the victim blaming and shaming,
Right.
They didn't know her either, and they just decided to go down that path.
Right, exactly. And they just decided to say whatever they needed to say about her. In fact, I didn't know anything about her until I saw a comment on the page that said that oh, this is why she died. It's because she was a sugar baby, right?
Oh yeah, the sugar baby website.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of the victim blaming is coming from in this case, and it's just ridiculous.
Not only is it, it is ridiculous, but it's also infuriating. What infuriated me about looking into this was the fact that I just looked at I looked at her as a human being, and regardless of who she was, while she was here with us, like while she was alive. Mm-hmm. Nobody deserves that. Nobody, all the way up to prostitutes, don't deserve that.
Nobody deserves. I mean, my God, you don't deserve to be murdered over an online profile on anything. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Little BS.
Right, exactly. I mean, regardless of any of an individual's choices, we all have the capacity to choose, and that's, I think, our greatest gift. So part of what infuriated me over those comments was the fact that, like, here I am looking at her, and I'm just thinking to myself, who is the guy that actually is responsible 100% for her demise? Okay, because realistically, everybody who's putting out all this information about her and her life choices and everything else, I mean, come on, if we dug deep enough into each other's backgrounds, I'm pretty sure that if we died in something similar, in a similar fashion, I would hate for anybody to get into the skeletons in my closet is all I'm saying. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, that's the thing, and that's why it's victim blaming. It's because people just pull stuff out of thin air, find out one little thing about someone, and then they're like, oh, well, she was on this website, so that's why this happened. And it's like, no, it actually has nothing to do with her. It's actually the fault of her killer. Like, murderers are the people who commit murder. It's their fault. There's not a whole lot of blame going on with him, although now it's starting to come out more about what a creep he really was.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm glad you actually even brought that up, because let's just go ahead and segue into like how I found out, like, because I got sick to my stomach over what they were saying about him, and I was infuriated already, and I couldn't understand why I was so angry. I was like,
it's horrible. I mean, you should be angry. This is something everyone should be angry about.
I know, but that's the only thing is that that's what made me feel even worse because I didn't feel so I felt compassion and remorse for the McCluskey case, you know, for
what hers was.
but it wasn't so much anger.
Person. Hers was kind of a failure to protect her. You know, it was different.
Okay. Well, and you're right. You're right in that respect.
Like, I mean, I was angry at that one because it happened on campus. They could have prevented it, and they found her because he shot her, and then he went off and shot himself or something. Like,
right.
It was a horrible situation still, but it was cut and dry. It wasn't like a missing person. We don't know where she is.
Yeah.
And we knew who the perpetrator was because it was the guy she told the cops about.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
And that was a way more kind of, closed case. It was still tragic, but with Mackenzie, it was just, we had days where it was just like, be on the lookout for this girl.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad that you actually even brought that up because that was that was a part of my of what infuriated me, and so here's the thing. The second thing was that I finally caught up to the profile of the kid that that actually owns the house. I mean, because they didn't.
At first, they didn't release any information. They just said he was a person of interest. This guy who owned this house, and they thought he went back to it. So that was how we heard about him at first. But they didn't tell us anything else about him. But they showed the house.
Exactly. And when they showed the house, I knew exactly where it was because it's in an area.
Neighborhood, right? And you're like, oh my god.
Yeah. Well, it's in exactly. It's 5 minutes away from my brother's house. Like my brothers, my uncles, I've got family all over the place. My family has been historically is in that area for close to 40 years.
Oh wow.
So I just thought I made a mental note. I mean, outside of all of the, I was like, I was also working. I do have a job, I promise. But I made a mental note to check out the house and just to see because there is a way. I'm not going to get into it, but there is a way to find out, through public record how who owns the house, and that's what somebody already did.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, I know how to do that. And it was all over everywhere, the information. Yeah, it was already posted. And I looked at that and I was like, oh, wow, I don't know who that kid is. And then I went in and I looked through the pages and I looked through everything. And it reminded me of this incident, okay? We're talking about 7 degrees to McKenzie Lueck today. Because this incident has made me sick ever since. Okay. Mentally, emotionally, nauseous. I've been hitting Melissa back with pages and pages of poor Melissa's. This is part of the reason why she's one of my favorite people because she's listened. She's heard it. She's
devastating.
Exactly. I've been telling her about I finally realized it reminded me of an incident. So again, back to the 7 degrees to McKenzie Lueck. Back in 2013. So we met in 2012, Melissa and I. 2013, I was working as a leasing agent, and then I had a part-time job in the evening. So I was working around the clock, and I have a kid. So
I was pretty busy.
Yeah, I was pretty busy. On top of that, I really love to kickbox, so I was training at an elite level. And when I say elite level, I'm not just saying that just to be cocky or anything, but I really.
Elite level. She means 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night.
But it's true though, right? And if I needed to go for 4 hours, I would block out 4 hours and it would be done. And,
oh my goodness.
Right? But the thing is that I loved it. That was my life. That's what I was doing. It helped me focus. There was a lot of really great benefits of that. And I was working, and so I ended up I started a position as a leasing agent at an apartment complex on West Temple, close to the B stadium. And so I enjoyed that. I used to do property management, so yeah, leasing was just an extension of exactly what I used to do. So um, in January of 2014, is when I met like five of these guys roll in, and they are looking for an apartment, and I'm like, okay, great. Well, let's go and take a look. And they wanted a 3-bedroom. So we went and took a look at the 3-bedroom. And then they came back and said, well, maybe only 3 of us will stay here. So can we take a look at a 2-bedroom, which made sense. I went and showed them the 2-bedroom. On our way back, one of the guys actually was asking me, do you mind if I take a look at a studio apartment? And I was like, so you guys don't want and he said, well, they might not want to stay here because they don't like the amenities or whatever. I don't know. He just wanted to take a look at the studio, and I said, okay, fine. So I went back and I showed him the studio apartment. By this time, it had already been close to a little over an hour, and I thought, well, no, I didn't just think it. I said it. I said, oh, okay. So is anybody applying?
Okay, enough fun of looking at apartments.
I know, right? Well, I don't know what you guys are what the deal is here, or if you're just here to eat all the free complimentary cookies. But for real though, somebody needs to whip out their IDs and they already had their IDs, but they had to you guys grab a pen and submit an application because I'm really done with this, or leave. So the kid says, oh, okay, yeah, I'll apply. I'll apply. Then he gets into my personal life, asks me if I'm single, and I'm like, I am dating. I'm just thinking to myself, I don't need to tell this kid anything more than I don't need to tell this kid anything. And I was like, but anyways, because I'm working so much. My kid sometimes is at the complex with me, and she's there, and and she actually called me. Well, she called me out, called me mom, and I was like, oh no, yeah. And so he figures out that this is my daughter, and I was just thinking to myself, oh dang it. I didn't really want that to happen, because I wasn't trying to introduce him to anybody. But he got really interested and then started asking me more questions about if I was dating, and I just said, I shut him down right then and there. I said, no, I don't date. He asked me if I would go on a date with him. I said, I don't date tenants or potential tenants. And he said, oh, well then I won't be a tenant. And he just left the application. He was like, I won't apply.
Oh my goodness.
And isn't that stupid? I was like, you won't apply because I won't date you?
I'd rather go out with you, so I'm just going to not do it. Wow.
So that's supposed to be romantic or something. I'm all, hello, Felix, I'm not... Okay. Right, I know, I'm not 12. Who do you think I am? I'm supposed to, fall over my feet and bawl my head off because you're not...
Oh, you're so romantic.
Exactly. Whatever. So I was just like, oh, okay. So, and then he said, to try and manipulate the situation, he goes back in and he was like, he asks me again, and I was like, no, I don't think that it's really very professional for me to say yes, but I'm not going to be your tenant. And I was like, maybe we're just going to, just leave it at this. Then he asked me for my number, and I was like, no. But thank you for coming in. Have a great day. If you're not applying, I've got other people that... Yeah, I know, right? I've got other people I've got to work with. Bye. For 2 weeks after that, he called me at the office nonstop to the point where my the other leasing agent would, I don't know, he gave him this name. He's like, the wherever, whenever, whatever dude is online too.
My goodness. That's how much he was calling you. Your coworkers were like, oh, it's that guy again.
Right. That's exactly what it was. Every day, maybe once or twice, and I'd say, I really am working. I've got to go. Click. And I mean, I even, I had a trainer at the time who I adore because he looks like Chris Evans. Okay, he's like an amalgamation of Chris Evans and Chris, what's his face, Hemsworth. I was just like, wow, he's gorgeous.
Oh my god.
He's also married, so I had to leave that alone. What I didn't leave alone was the fact that I told him that I thought he was gorgeous. Like he's all, I'm flattered, thank you. Here's the thing, though. I tell my trainer, and I tell him, like I tell him about this guy and how persistent he is, but that one of the conversations that he had was that this kid actually called me at the office one day, and I gave him, like, it was one of the first times that he called me at the office. And I gave him a little bit of time ever since. Like, after that, I just gave him less and less time. I was just like, I can't. And then I would never even just answer the phone. I just, like, leave it on hold and move on about my day. Because that's where it got to, because I would get irritated. But one of the conversations I had with the kid was, this kid says, I want you to come over to my new apartment. It's close by to where you work, and I want you to see it. And I'm like, I don't need to see your apartment, dude. You can send me a picture if that's what's really gonna, like, make you feel great about your life. But I don't need to come over to your place. And and I told and I had mentioned this to my trainer, and my trainer said, wow, yeah, you should make him take you to a restaurant and pay for everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To go over and see his apartment day.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly. So, like, my trainer, he's such a cool guy. So, ladies, yeah, you want to know who my trainer is? You just go ahead and hit me up on a direct message, and I'll send it over to you. But hey, I'm just gonna warn you now. He loves his wife. Don't be one of those girls, okay? Because I wasn't. He knew I looked, but that's all I did. It was just merely for motivation. That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah. The hot trainer, it makes it a lot easier to work out.
Yeah. So I mean, the guy was so that's what my trainer says. You should just make sure that he takes you to a restaurant and then just charge him, like, just buy everything. Get everything on the menu, see what he does. If he's so, like, rich and all that. Because the kid just went on and on about how he just recently gotten into Goldman Sachs.
Oh God.
He had worked for Goldman Sachs. Like, he was recently at Utah State. He just moved down to Salt Lake. He was starting as some sort of person at Goldman Sachs. What else did he tell me? He was in the army or something like that, and he was, hey, I get it, because you want to put your best foot forward when you meet somebody for the first time, especially if you like them, right? So that didn't really bug me. I just listened. I was just like, whatever, dude, I'm not interested. I knew, even at the beginning, I wasn't really that interested, but what did finally get me was that it was 2 weeks of, like, nonstop, 2 times a day messages, voicemails.
Consistent, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Historically, I have a lot of experience in sales, so over the last 20 years, I started thinking to myself, maybe overthinking. I was all, not a lot of men out here are this persistent or doggedly persistent.
Put that much effort into it. My goodness.
They really definitely don't. So I laughed at myself, and I finally gave in, and I said, okay. I agreed to go to dinner with him, especially after my hot trainer mentioned, hey, if he really ticks you off that badly, just, get him to take you to a restaurant and then pay for everything on the menu. And then he said, and then after that, you can just come in and work it all off. I was like, true. I like your style. So we move up. So I finally make arrangements with this kid to meet up with him after my second job, because again, I'm usually working I work out from 6 to 8 in the morning. I get to the office by 8:30. I'm working until 6 or 7 at night. I'm going to my second job. I'm usually gone by like 1 or 2 in the morning. But that night, I was actually only, um, I was only scheduled for a couple of hours because like it was actually really slow that night. So I was able to like leave, and I just said, oh, okay, well. So I sent this kid a message. I was like, listen, I can meet you, somewhere close to one of the restaurants, and and I mentioned one of the restaurants I wanted to go to, but by the time, we met up, um, it was already closed.
Yeah.
So I was just like, dang it. Well, we can go anywhere else, because I love to train, but just as much as I love to train, I love to eat. So I was pretty hungry by that time, right? Yeah. So I told him, I asked him, I said, yeah, let's just go somewhere close because there's like several places down the street, and whatever's open, we'll just go there.
Well, see, that's innocent. I mean, like as far as the date goes, like going to a restaurant, that's about as innocent as it gets.
Right. Yeah. he offered to drive, which I was fine with, because nothing was creepy. And then he opened the door for me. He was like, I was all, oh, well, that's nice,
Yeah.
Not a lot of the guys do that. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I get in, and then we get in and we start driving down the street, and I'm just looking around, and we're driving away from the downtown area, and I'm not dumb, so I said it. I was like, where are we going? I was like, where are we going? I'm really hungry, and I thought we were gonna go to like a diner or whatever. And he said, oh, no. I made us dinner. We're going to my apartment.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's bad.
No, that was really like that, and yeah, sad. But I was so angry at that point because I had already said what I wanted to say, or excuse me, I already explained what I wanted.
You told him what you wanted. You're like, let's go to a restaurant. And then he's like, no, we're going to my place.
I already made you food.
Yeah, oh yeah, I said that's bad, not sad. That's just bad.
Oh, I thought you said sad.
His part.
Oh wow, yeah, that is bad. So I am extremely angry, and part of my training is like, as a Thai boxer, I can, I like part of my training is weightlifting. So I immediately get into I get into a conversation about how strong I am, and even at that time, like I was really I was really pretty arrogant about my ability, but I wasn't arrogant to the point where, huh?
That's good.
Yeah. I wasn't arrogant to the point where I didn't like that. I couldn't back up what I said. That's the thing. So here I am telling him. I said, so I can leg press about 1,200, and I can also bench 380, almost 400. I was like, I'm working on getting to 400, and he was just like, oh, that's pretty much what he said. And then I said, so I'm really angry. So then I said, I'm really angry at the fact that you told me that we were going to a restaurant. Now we're going to your apartment. I don't want to eat at your apartment. I don't want to go to your apartment. I did not say that I would go there. And if it takes me to kick you in the head and mash your face up against the window, I will put your head through the window, through that glass, through the window. I detailed it kind of like every superhero show that you've ever watched, right? What do you do? What do you do? What was it? That Iron Man. When Iron Man gets caught and he's hanging, and he's in a compromised position where his enemies are gonna kill him, and they're there's four or five guys, and then what's his Tony quips, he's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, and this is how I'm gonna do it, and he's waiting for his arm to come in, and then his arm comes in, and he finally gets a chance to, get it done. That's exactly what I was doing. That's exactly what I did.
That's good. And just a side note, how awful your guys' date hasn't even really started yet, and you feel like the need to threaten him already. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
The chef even like, oh no, we're just gonna go to my place. What? Like,
Thank you.
yeah, that's not a normal thing to feel like you have to say on a date.
Right. Exactly. Thank you. Thank you
But
for.
I'm glad you said it because I think that's good that you took that stance of like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna kick your head through the window if anything happens.
And it was it was I want to go. It was in defense of what we had already agreed to. The agreement was we're going to a restaurant. I'm gonna.
You did not agree to go to his house.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be around other people, and I will be not nauseous enough to actually be able to eat. Like I'll be good, you know. Not nauseous because I just wasn't really all that interested in him. It just like there was something about him that really made me kind of. But even after I told him that, right, for a split second, like not even a split second, for just a little bit before he even made a comment, I could tell how like he just kind of tensed up, and I could tell he was a little bit, not a little bit, but there was he was angry. Wow. Because I even mentioned it. And then he brushed it off, and he laughed it off by saying, "Oh, no, that's fine. That's no problem. I just got to go home. Like we got to go back to my apartment, and I need to turn off the food because like I started it. I thought you would really appreciate me cooking for you, or something cheesy, fucked up like that." And I said, I was like, okay, well, that made sense to me, so I was just like, okay. And I'm still already in his car because if I had to open up the door and just roll out, I really didn't want to do that, you know? So I just sat there and I was like, okay. We get to the apartment. The apartment's like not even 10 minutes away from my house, from my car. It's about 15 minutes from my car. It's like on West Temple. These are newer apartments, so like I'm not familiar with them, but you know I know exactly where we're at because again I grew up here. And he tells me, I just, you know, I could have just sat there in the parking lot and waited for him to go in and turn off the food or whatever. But he just said he like something that he said got me out of the car and said like and made me think that it was going to be okay. Oh no, he talked me into. He's like, listen, it's only going to be 5-10 minutes. But I do need to like get my wallet. I really was expecting that you were just gonna come with me back to my apartment and we'd have dinner. And I was like, fuck, no, I'm not. Excuse my language, but that's really what like that went right through my head. I was like, I'm not gonna have dinner here. But okay, I got out of the car. His place was only on the second floor, and walking down these were nicer apartments. They were just brand new. So these apartments just everything was on the inside. So we're walking down the hallway. It looks kind of like a hotel. And I hit we're not even 2 seconds to the door before it starts smelling like, oh my gosh, the worst. Oh, it smelled like a nightmare on top of a nightmare on top of death on top of like somebody boiling skin.
Oh God, was that the food he was making for you?
Yeah, dude. That's what I said. I was like, who died?
That's awful.
Isn't that sick? I was like, it smells like, I looked at this dude and I said, it smells like somebody just died up in here. Are you kidding me? And he laughed and that's when he laughed. He was like, no, it's great. It's African food. It's amazing. Blah, blah, whatever. Opens up the door. I'm just like, I don't know what you're talking about, but in my culture, anybody that makes the food that we're used to, if they don't know how to cook, it smells similar to that food that I smelled that night.
If they mess it up, it smells awful.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just like if it's not even if they mess it up, if they make food that is like spoiled, it's rotten, it's like they're just like, you know what I mean? They didn't really take precautions to do all that. It's
so gross.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that you all understood what it actually smelled like. It smelled like I've never been around a dead body. I'm not in that, situation. Like I'm not in that type of career or whatever. But it smelled like what I imagined death to be.
Yuck.
And I was just like wowed out. Like like, wow, dude, kill me.
Like,
Not really, don't kill me.
Not gonna eat here.
Exactly. I walk in and I was just like, I tried my best not to die. Like, or fall literally and figuratively, I guess. But I get in there, and the only thing that I could sit on was like it was the couch because everything else was all over the place. And he claimed that, he claimed that they were just moving in, and I was just like, okay, well that makes sense because I just shown them apartments like a few weeks earlier.
Yeah. So at least it kind of sounds like he's being honest about that.
Right. So I'm sitting on the couch and he's like turning off all the food, and then he comes over. He sits down next to me and he tries to scoot in, and I was like, I scoot over, and then he scoots in a little bit closer, and then he tries to put his arm around me. Yeah, this is the second part. This is the second time that I actually start threatening him. I took his arm off of my shoulder and I said, keep your arm right next to where you're at. Don't put that around me. We don't know each other like that. And then he looks at me again, like with this look on his face, like as if he was just like, as if he had the right to do so. Like he had that right to like invade my space. That's like as if he had that right. And so I got angry.
You're in my apartment. You're mine now.
Something like that. I got angry and I just said, yeah, keep your hands to yourself. We don't know each other like that. That's when he launches into this story about some chick up at BYU, Idaho, and how he was there for a little while, and she was super duper in love with him, but she was Mormon, so she wasn't ever gonna like sleep with him until he married her and all this other BS. It just didn't sound right. I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah, you're probably lying about that too.
Right. Right. Like, she's so in love with you.
Weird for him to even tell you that, like.
Yeah, because you say that it's weird. Mel, it got worse because what he did. He did. What he did was he actually mentioned. He said, like, I know that there isn't any room to like do anything like anywhere except for this couch, and like. I don't even think he mentioned the couch. He just said, I would like to take you on the floor right there. I'd like to be in between your legs.
Oh my god. So you're telling him don't touch you, and you're moving away from him on the couch, and he's like, yeah, I'll take you on the floor.
He tells me that really weird story about how he's so wanted by some random chick up in Idaho, and I was thinking to myself, I'm sure there's no chick up in Idaho. It's probably like your imagination, but okay.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, so what I said was the only way that you get between my legs is when is if I was choking you to death, or if I snapped your leg. Oh, I threatened him again. I said I would snap your leg or I would snap your neck with my legs.
Wow. Jeez, I don't blame you because he's being a total creep at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you kind of have to threaten him again. You've even been nice about like, don't touch me, we don't know each other like that.
Right.
And then he's making suggestions about like taking you on the floor and stuff. That's really scary.
Yeah, as far as when you say scary, I say like I was at the height of anger, right? Like at that point, I was so incensed. I really did want to I was like, please take me there because you would be fighting for your life, homeboy.
Yeah.
And try it, or it was just like a sense of my sense of protection kicked in, and I just said, if you try it, I will, this is what I will do. Now that we're in a different.
That's good that you did, because.
Yeah.
It kind of showed him not to mess with you like that.
Yeah, I was so the anger on his face did not match. I don't feel like it matched my anger.
Sure didn't. My God.
Yeah, because even at that, he looked at me. It took about a second, and then it was that same feeling of he was a little bit angry, and I could see like him seethe a little bit, but he tried to play it off and laugh it off. He was like, "Oh, you don't want to do that?" I was like, "Fuck no, I don't." I said, "Yeah, no." I cussed him out, and I said, "No, fuck no, I don't." I cussed him out, and I said, "I would throw like after I snapped your neck, I'd throw your body over the like I would throw you over the balcony before I let you let you take me like that. Are you kidding me? Take me?"
You said all those things to him, dude.
Yeah, I know. I'm so like I'm so I don't even know how to explain how upset and angry I am that I didn't throw him over the balcony that night.
Well, you didn't know what he'd turn into.
Yeah, because I don't think that I even told anybody yet that this is the same dude that actually met Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Because it is. I feel like it took me a while to go back to like the picture that had like on his profile that actually had his him in his army gear. That's a joke. Him up at Utah State, that was a joke. You know?
No.
Utah State kicked him off of campus as of 2012, so he really wasn't.
And then he lied about it.
I don't know how he got a job at Goldman Sachs, but, you know, that happened.
Yeah, that could have been a lie, too. Well, he probably really worked there.
No, he probably really worked there because, like, how did he afford the lifestyle and the house? I don't know.
And the multiple strange living areas.
What I wonder is, and I continue to think about it, is all the other women that kept coming in and out of the house, that like in the reports that came out that that these women came in and out of the house, and the neighbors were just saying, "Oh yeah, he had a lot of different women coming in and out of his house." And
he did rent it as an Airbnb too.
Oh, that's true.
But I mean, that might have not been who they were seeing. They could have just been seeing women.
Okay.
It sounds like he was trying to pick up women.
Like that's
Probably
just
with his Goldman Sachs money.
I like the way you say gold. That's funny that you even mentioned that.
Work there, but whatever.
No, he was real proud of the fact that he had just started. Like he was like he told me, he was like, I just got an offer from Goldman Sachs to do blah blah whatever. I didn't really pay attention to that, but I did to hear the Goldman Sachs. But he said it several times, you know, in a way to position himself like, oh, I'm so important, you know.
Yeah.
Then he was also
impress you.
Yeah, Bill, I'm so impressive.
Oh, God.
And also, his car wasn't all that great, so he's told me, oh, I'm thinking of getting, you know, a Dodge Charger. Like, that was going to, you know, make a difference to me. Like, woohoo! I don't care. Like, I didn't care. Especially at the point where I threatened to, like, snap his neck, you know, like if it...
You're creepy. It doesn't really matter what else you got going on. You're scary. So how'd you get off the couch in that awkward, awful... You guys really hadn't even gone on a date yet. It was like, up in the car, argue in the car, just for a minute argue. There still wasn't even really a date.
It wasn't even an argument.
Sitting there, just sitting on the couch in horrible awkwardness.
Threats were made, but they were...
Horrible awkwardness. Just clash, man. Clash what?
Threats were made on like on every single level. It was like, and they were only made by me. That's the thing.
I know. I'm so glad you threatened him. I mean, especially now with what we know about him. I mean,
Right. So
scary.
sick.
He's a scary guy.
So sick. So sick.
He had his own intentions for you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He had planned out, so I'm glad you were like threatening and going against what he was down for. So
I had no desire to like stay there any longer, so he finally agreed to go. So this is how I got out of that place, because he had mentioned, he asked me at one point of the conversation, you know, because I said, I'm either going to a restaurant or I'm going home. How are you going to go home is what he said to me, right? He's like, how are you going to go home? You're like, you're so far from your car. And I looked at him And listen, when I say that my family has been in the Salt Lake area for 40 years, we roll deep. Okay, when I say that, that means there's a ton of us. So I looked at him and I said, my family's been here for forever. Okay, if I wanted to, I could walk within 5 minutes. I'd be back to a family's home, a family member's house, and I'd be back to my house. Are you kidding me? And I said, if all I needed to do was walk out the door, go down the street, stick out my thumb like I was hitchhiking, I would have a family member pick me up. And so the reason why I'm saying this is for anybody who, for you ladies who might feel like you're in a situation, even if you're in a city where you don't know anybody and you're kind of worried, and this is the only person that you know, believe in the best of other people and walk out and just say that you can get yourself to safety.
Yeah,
because you will get yourself to
people are going to try and help you.
Exactly.
You're in danger, they will try to help you.
Exactly. You will get yourself to safety as long as you will get yourself to safety as long as you put it out there. You know, I'm not saying that this is going to be the the case for every single circumstance. We can't go over every single iteration. I mean, it would take us another 2 hours and it's already been long enough. But I'm just saying, just put it out there that you can protect yourself, that you matter, that you are the person, that somebody cares about you, that there is a God above that is looking out for you, and put it out there. Because the more you put it out there, the more that people will recognize you as a person who is worthy of anybody's respect, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your situation, regardless of where you're at. So this is where it gets me really emotional, and this is why it's been so important for me to actually say this, to actually call Mel and make sure that we put this out there. That I feel like, Mackenzie, based on just what I've read about her, because I don't know her from the start, from the get-go. But based on everything that's come out about her, and I'm not talking about her life choices and all of the extra stuff that she did with, between her and another consenting adult, okay? I'm talking about when she got back from her grandma's funeral, when she got into the Uber, when she got to the park, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Who cares? Here's the thing. If you look at the timeline, Mackenzie left the airport at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right? She gets to the park at about, within about 15 minutes. It's 2:15. Within 45 minutes, okay, I want everybody to understand that I would like to put it out there that Mackenzie is a fighter, okay? Within 45 minutes, Mackenzie's phone is off. And so this is the narrative I am going to look at. I'm not going to listen to anybody else about Mackenzie, her choices, or anything else. Based on my experience with this piece of garbage, is that within 45 minutes, okay, that's not a long time. Within 45 minutes, Mackenzie's phone was no longer pinging against the cell towers. That's what we found out. That's what the reports have. That's all I needed to know. Mackenzie's a fighter. She said no.
Yeah.
She, regardless of the arrangements, the prior arrangements, whatever happened, all this other garbage that's coming out about her and her choices and this, that, and the other.
The website she's on doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The point is that she's 23 years old. 3 o'clock in the morning, or 2 o'clock in the morning, she decides to meet up with somebody who made an arrangement, and whatever that arrangement between two consenting adults is whatever it is. However, I believe that Mackenzie, based on my experience, could have said, no, this was the arrangement. My companionship is what you were paying for. Something to that.
Went bad real
something to that effect. Yeah, exactly. Within a 45-minute time frame, her phone is off and it's no longer pinging against any cell tower.
Yeah.
That means that the anger that I saw in that dude's face that night could have finally taken. It took 7 years to to finally boil over and explode on somebody as unassuming. Well, she just didn't realize, the capacity of, or maybe the level of hate that this man has against women.
Well, that's the thing. These guys who just hate women and want to hurt them, it builds up over years and years, and I think that's the case with him,
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
And I think he started to get into a mindset where he started to have a plan for what he wanted to do with women, and it's hard with him because he didn't even have like a criminal record. There was
okay.
report of rape.
Let's go ahead and let's unpack. Thank you for even bringing that up, Mel, because let's unpack that a little bit. That's part of the reason why we started with the that's part of the reason why we started with the Lauren McCluskey case, is because this kid, he did. He took somebody. He violated.
He was on parole.
Yeah, well, I'm talking. Okay, let me back up. I'm not talking about Lauren McCluskey's. Yeah, I'm not talking about Lauren McCluskey's. I'm just saying that the fact that we actually started with the McCluskey case and how it was handled and how she was dismissed because she wasn't important enough. Her situation, she was this is the thing that occurred to me was that unfortunately her her fears were not important enough.
So horrible.
You see what I'm saying? Her fears were left they were not important enough for the officer who took the complaint. And then again, and the only reason why I know this is because the only reason why I'm saying this is because we already have it from, thank you to the Tribune for putting it out there, but he again does the same thing, dismisses all of the victimizers' background and history, and is just walking into an office to collect a paycheck. There's nothing wrong with collecting a paycheck, but please do your job so that we can keep our the young women that can and may change the world for the better, like Lauren and Kenzie. Let's keep them safe. That's where I'm coming from.
Exactly.
So that's part of the reason why that's part of the reason why, oh yeah, everybody keeps saying that, oh, he never had a background or a history. No.
He did.
It wasn't reported, and unfortunately the person
there was the rape from 2014 on him. She just wanted to file it, but she didn't want to press charges.
I met him in January of 2014. Do you remember that?
Oh my God, that's so scary.
That's my point.
That was a coworker of his.
And it escalated, and that was a coworker. It escalated to him getting what he was for. He forced his way into that.
Oh my God.
And I met him at the beginning of 2014.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
So my point.
She didn't want charges pressed against him, but she wanted to file a report.
That doesn't make any sense because
the cops never talked to him about it.
Right. That doesn't make any sense because she was up in Logan and he was working with her up in Logan, but he also told me that he was down in Salt Lake working at Goldman Sachs.
I think he has weird housing situation, but he did even with the 2012 when he got kicked off of the USU campus for stealing. They said he was lying about his housing situation.
Right, this guy.
Even here, where Kenzie got dropped off at was his old apartment, but then he has the house, so I feel like maybe he was lying about where he lived to her, or, it sounds like he lies a lot about where he lives.
Yeah, but the only thing is that his name is on the house. So I'm trying to figure out.
But then it said he got evicted out of that apartment earlier, this year or something.
How did he get the house if he was evicted?
He has an apartment.
Now it's time for.
Now it's the house too for an Airbnb, but not all of the house. I guess part of the house.
I wonder how he got the house. This is not adding up. None of this is adding up. It's really driving me crazy. Wait a minute. How did he get the house if he?
I think he just lies all over the place.
Shit.
But I think that's part of his MO.
Yeah. All right.
Liar.
Let's get back on topic because that now I've got something else to take a look at. Like, how did you get the house when I don't believe that you, yeah. Either way, he still was convicted, or not convicted, but accused, right? Like, there was a report filed on him later on in 2014, which I'm not sure when, that he actually did. She admits to, like, you know, going in and doing certain things and getting to a certain point, and then she asks him to stop, but then he wouldn't. He was like, no, it's too late.
It's brave.
Yeah. She, again, let's just go ahead and put it out there, had every right to stop him, and he had.
Yep.
We're not, okay, as human beings, as like men are not animals, like they can stop.
Yeah.
At any time. Even if even if you're in the middle of the act and she says, okay, I mean, I can't, get off.
Yeah.
Not in that term, but technically, let's stop. I don't want to anymore.
Anytime you hear that,
just stop. I mean,
it's better to stop.
Stop and go and do whatever you need to do.
I think the fact that
put some ice on it.
Never to him about it, it made him feel like he could kind of get away with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then this is, what? 5 years ago when that happened?
7.
7? Oh my God.
Wait,
so,
no. Yeah, no, 6. Sorry, 2014 was 6 years.
So it escalates.
Yeah.
And then he gets to this point, and I mean, did you read about that? I don't know if it was true or not, but a handyman said he wanted like a secret room installed in his house.
I believe it's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's terrifying to me. And he wanted it to be soundproof with hooks. Like, what was he planning?
Well, big props to the contractor, right?
For coming out. I mean, soundproof room, whatever. But the fact that he said he wanted it to be secret, that's when it's like, you're not planning anything good there.
Right, exactly. Like, you can look at the report, or I mean the article, and just look at he wanted it to be he wanted to be able to have a fingerprint access to it. He wanted hooks. He wanted hooks 7 feet above, like 7 feet high, and the room, the hooks had to be in a concrete wall, and the room itself was only like it was like kind of like a crawl space almost.
Wow.
And
terrifying me.
And all the answers that he gave the contractor was, oh yeah, well, I want to be able to listen to my music without my neighbors listening to me, and the hooks like 7 feet high up on the wall is gonna be for like a wine rack, and in this crawl space that I can only get into with my fingerprint. And so they left, and they were like, no, we're not gonna do that. So big props to that guy for even saying that, because he's like, the contractor says to his nephew, we're not doing this, and his nephew was like, yeah, that was weird.
That is weird.
That was beyond weird, dude. This guy is really sick on every level. And so if anything comes of this, I hope that justice absolutely prevails against this guy, that every single thing that comes out against him puts him away or puts him under. 6 feet is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because it's just I don't even know. I didn't even know if I could even tell the story, because the only story that came out about this kid and anybody who had potentially dated him, right? Was one date with one girl who who actually met him at a the girl
who went to lunch with him or whatever.
And she was just like, he couldn't answer any questions. He didn't know how to navigate the conversation. She didn't really like him. She was like, no. And then finds out that, oh, that's that dude. And then she doesn't even feel safe enough to say who she is, which I'm probably doing the same thing, because I'm coming in as Amber Express, and that's the way it's gonna be, because right?
And then he's married. He's married, remember?
Shit. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Isn't his wife
a report.
Texas or something? It's strange.
Yes.
wife.
Oh, how did he do this? In 2011.
I have no idea.
Yeah, in 2011, like, what the heck? Who has this much time? But 2011, he's married to this lady in Dallas, in Texas, and she narrowly gets away with her life because he wants her to come back to Utah with him, and he attacks her with a knife, and she almost loses a finger because he attacks her with a knife, and she's trying to stop him.
And that was 2011.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 2 years later, no, not 2, but like 3 years later. 3 years later, I meet him, and ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, within those 2011, it just doesn't make it yeah, exactly, right? Thank goodness for my training, and thank goodness for my trainer for saying what he said, Because yeah, I ended up telling my trainer what a creep the guy was, and he's just like, okay, well, let me just show you what, he actually, we made some, he said, I can show you some hand-to-hand combat moves.
That's nice.
Yeah, I was like, hand-to-hand combat? Yeah, cool.
We're going to say that's nice, but that is nice, just in case.
Yeah, he did. I think it's important, but he did. He was like, oh my gosh, what a creep. Like, even at the highest level of being a creep.
His wife, I'm sure she'll never see him again. I'm pretty sure they're still married just so she won't have to be in contact with him.
No, she tried to divorce him. He would never sign the divorce papers.
Oh my God.
No. So she just ended up hiding. She just moved to a different part of Dallas. Like, she had to jump. You guys seriously, y'all need to just, I don't know, if you really want to get into it, just go in and just look it up, but she jumps out a window, runs down the street. I don't know if she's dressed or not. Like, who knows? Could you imagine? Like, I can't. I don't want to.
No, I don't want to either.
I don't know.
Jesus.
So, and that's the thing, is that she even said that she's like, at the very beginning, he was actually, people said, oh, he's a nice guy. And I'm thinking to myself, well, from what I experienced, that's not a very nice guy.
Yeah, he doesn't sound nice at all.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's not a nice guy. Where are you guys getting this from? The time, so wait, I don't know, when did he get baptized? Did I send you over, I did send you over a message about, how he had been baptized to the Church of Jesus Christ, right?
He'll change his name to Joy or something after it.
Yeah, it was kind of ridiculous. So he got baptized. He gets baptized in 2009 or 2010, and then the person who baptizes him has this interview and says, "Oh, I don't know about that. Like, I wish I just kept in touch with him." And listen, I'm like, after I read that or watched the interview, I just thought, hey, listen, dude, there was nothing that you could do. That guy was touched by Satan. That's all there is to it.
In the head.
Right, exactly. And just so that we're all clear, in this, in Utah, here in Utah, regardless of your faith, and regardless of your status in the church, I believe that it's only an invitation to do good if you're able to go to the temple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
It's an invitation to do good, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is doing exactly that. Okay?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and put that down too, because it was his, it was just his mannerism and all of his really, really awful choices that got him to where he's at right now. His really awful choices. And thinking that he could take advantage of all these great people in Salt Lake, because there's a lot of great people in Salt Lake. I can't speak to any other city. I can just speak to this one. And I think that there's a lot of great people in Salt Lake, and who do exactly, they do exactly what they need to do. They help. They have the best intentions and hope the best for hope the best for people, right? But the thing is that let's not let's look beyond. Let's continue to look beyond exactly what people, like just because you got the card and you're carrying it does not necessarily.
It does not make you a good person.
It doesn't exonerate you from the ability to do harm to somebody else, right? Because even even like it does. It's all I'm saying is that we're all subject to the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's it. That's my jump on a soapbox moment so that I can say it. But I had to say it because doesn't matter. that whole interview between whoever it was that baptized him into the Church of Jesus Christ was like that's a mute point because he still we all still have the ability, regardless of whether or not we carry a card, to hurt other people or to make bad decisions and all of that. So there's that.
He's sick in the head. He was going down this path no matter what.
Something like that, yeah. So it's been we're at an hour and a half, and I want to sign off real quick. Before I do, I just wanted to put it out there that it was a very difficult choice for me to put this out there, and I'm glad that Melissa had decided to say yes and was willing to walk and talk me through this whole situation because I don't know if I would be able to do it on my own, so thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you put it out there. I'm sure it's not an easy story to tell.
Right. And I'm glad to be here, but I'm also glad to say, what it is that's on my mind about the victim, about McKenzie, and that she, and that this is, and that 7 degrees to her. Like I'm glad that she fought, and that's what I'm going to put out. That's the story that I'm going to put out. Is that this girl's a fighter, that she that she fought for herself, she fought for her life. She, regardless of everything else, she was in a situation that any one of us could have been in, including myself.
Absolutely.
Including myself, and I was in something not similar. No.
But at least you got him early on before he was.
Yeah, because then we would probably have had the fight of our lives, right? Yeah, because we would have had at that point, at this point in his sickness, right? Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure that I would have had to put up the fight. I would have had to put my mouth not that I couldn't, but that I would, and.
Also, it was a lot of years. Who knows how good he got,
True.
And that's really scary because there's all other kinds of ways evil men like this, or evil people just in general, could decide to take advantage of someone else.
Exactly. So that's my point in putting it out there is that McKenzie Lueck is absolutely 100% a victim. McKenzie Lueck did not deserve, regardless of anything else in her life, to be treated the way she was treated. And McKenzie Lueck, her family can't even. They don't have a body to bury. How do you?
My heart.
Yeah, exactly. How do you? I'm having a hard time even saying this, but woo, heaven, let me forgive this guy for making me so angry that I have nothing to I have nothing good to say about him. Because I feel so moved to say this and to put it out there. And if anybody watches beyond my 5 or listens beyond my 5 subscribers, whatever, great. But I just want them to know, I just want it out there that I believe that she's a fighter, and I believe in and I believe in her,
I do too. The world lost a really sweet soul.
And the fact that she was studying to be a CNA, right? Or some she was going in. She was going in as a
student. That's why people knew there was a problem, because her friends were like, she'd never miss a midterm.
Exactly. She was going to be a nurse.
Don't dare anyone victim shame this girl. She's kicking butt in school and has this great life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And to not put her on the pedestal that she should be on. That she is, yeah. That you know. Let's just talk about the great part components of who she is, because she is an inspiring person. Like, let's just put it out there that she is she is inspiring to the point where I believe that she fought for her, like she fought for everything that she had, and she knew that she had it on the line, like in within minutes. She had to have, because there was only 45 minutes between the time that she had been like that she had been active to the point where that nothing like that everything all communication stopped. So that's all. So let's just go. I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you so much for coming in on the very first and somewhat revealing and really super heavy
and
heavy topic. If you
I
feel,
just want to point out how much I love that when you found out who it was and your history with this guy, you were immediately like, I should have killed him. I should have thrown him off the balcony when I had the chance. I just love that about you. I mean, I know there's no way you could have known, but I thought it was really sincere. And you were 100% serious. You're like, I was at my peak of being a kickboxer. I could have knocked his head off.
well, it's the truth. Well, it's the truth. It's what I feel. Like I keep trying to tell myself, and so does my brother. He's like, had you even thrown him off of the second floor of the, like of that apartment building, A, he probably would have survived. B, you would be in prison. C,
You need to ruin your life over it.
Right.
It's sweet that you wanted to go back in time and do that. But I also think it's really brave and sincere that you share your story about it, because that kind of shows just victims can really be anybody. Like, you just never really know.
It's true. It's true. So let's do better to express ourselves. That's part of the reason why we've got this going on, this podcast by two broads casting.
That's gonna be such a tongue twister.
I just like saying it because it makes me laugh. But like all my heart and all my prayers go out to all of the victims that have to deal with this on a daily basis. I'm so emotional over it.
No, that's a good thing to be emotional over. I mean, domestic violence is one of the biggest killers of women worldwide.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And the sad part about it is, is that there is a national domestic violence hotline. Get help. It's the hotline.org. I'm going to post it up. Make sure that you check for the warning signs. Stay close to your family and to your friends because they love you. They know you. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional again. But that we're, like, Mel and I, oh, gosh.
Hard topic.
It was, yeah, exactly. Such, I never expected that, that I'd be 70 degrees to, like, somebody that close, and I didn't even know her.
Or just to even be alone with someone like that. I mean...
Yeah, well...
I mean, he probably wasn't capable of that at the time you knew him, but that's just scary to me to, like, find that out later. And it kind of shows how people can develop into something really evil.
Yeah, exactly.
He started evil, but it got worse and worse.
Exactly. So yeah, just like let's redefine who these victims are. That they are victims, and that they are strong, and that Kenzie was a fighter. That's what I want to. That's what I'm going to put out. That she fought. She doesn't deserve anything more, like anything less than respect for her life, for the good things that were in her life, for the things that she attempted, like that she was attempting to do, that she was moving towards. She deserves all of that and more, and she deserves she deserves, you know, a full memorial for that, and she deserves to have her body, or whatever's left of her, remains, be, you know, memorialized. She deserves that, and so let's do better for her. Let's Salt Lake. Let's, like, you know, let's do better for the women in our lives. Let's do better for them. Ooh, I'm so angry. and to the guy that had me call him Jay or AJ or whatever he wanted. He
But like, blame on him. It's his fault.
Put it all on him. It's all on him.
That's right.
It's like he gets to take the burden from here until, you know, the rest of eternity, if that's what it takes. But that's
absolutely
that's his burden, and it's not it's not Mackenzie's, and it's not ours to put on Mackenzie. Let's do that for her, because
I agree.
She's the fighter, and she's the one who does she's the fighter, and she's the one who she's the caretaker.
Yeah.
And we don't do that to our caretakers, not in a civilized society. We are in a civilized society, and this is what we're going to do for each other. We're going to be better to each other. That's what we should do. You know,
like that.
Excuse me for being all altruistic, but again, thank you for joining us on our very first podcast here at Express Yourself. Like, make sure that you know, hit subscribe, because I'm trying to talk Mel into, like, making this a weekly thing.
4 to 5, we're gonna do it.
You're right. Like, come in and talk to us about your experiences. Tell us what you think. You know, like, put it out there. Tell us what you'd like to talk about. Just put it down in the comments and below, and you know, whatever you've got to say, and however you got to put it out there. Just express yourself. That's all I really want to say, is to the women in our lives, and, you know, to the other women, let's do better, because we deserve it. We all deserve it.
Yes.
Amen to that, right, Mel?
That's right. We do deserve it.
We all deserve it. Thank you for joining me. I'm Amber Express, and Mel, you want to any closing comments?
Melissa Merlot. Thanks for having me, Amber.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.